Okay, let's see if I can land this. Too early, too early. I would have gotten him there. Damn it. Okay, come on, please get up, please get up. No! Okay, got him down once. That's good. That's good. Oh crap! 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 Yes. Okay, that's two. That's two. That's good. That's a good start. Hell yeah. Okay, if we can do this. Yes! Yes! Oh. The NES created many franchises. You could point to almost every character in the newest Smash and trace their origins back to the NES. However, this is not true for every game. Punchout, also called Mike Tyson's Punchout, was technically the 5th game in its series. That is of course counting the Game & Watch release and its spin-off Arm Wrestling. Though I wouldn't blame you if you don't count Arm Wrestling. The result is the NES Punchout, a well-designed game with a surprising amount of polish. 8-bit visuals are always a blast to talk about. Within the limitations of the system, Nintendo still managed to animate large characters with an impressive level of skill. Without going too much into the gameplay before its time, I just want to point out how incredible this game is at taking a system like the NES and creating enemies that bounce around randomly, have multiple movesets, randomized attacks, and still look this good. There's a lot of things I love about this presentation, and there's not a lot you can say against it. Sure, the audience looks like a blob of pixels, but you can clearly see a few faces. Little Mac's face looks terrifying, but that's okay because you barely ever see it. Turn around, every now and then I get. Other than that, we have some really great pixel art. All of your enemies are distinct, fully realized, and look brilliantly huge compared to Mac. And while most have a palette swap, that is, the same body with a different face to save space, each character still manages to be distinctive. They do this through the use of stereotypes, a large part of Punch-Out's character design. I'm not saying this is a good or a bad thing, that's not what this channel is about, but it's good to discuss. Little Mac is a stereotype of an underdog boxer. Glass Joe is a French stereotype, Von Kaiser German, Piston Honda Japanese, Don Flamenco Spanish, the list goes on. It begs the question, is stereotyping okay if it is intentional and self-aware? Moving on. These in-between screens are cool, sometimes giving you little hints, sometimes urging you to sign up for the Nintendo fan club, as well as giving a good look at Mac's boyish face and his trainer, Doc Lewis. The little cutscenes are cute too, providing this game with a loose plot, though by NES standards it's surprisingly, there. I have a bit of a confession to make. I'm bad at video games. Like, really bad. And I could blame my video game upbringing of Wind Waker and Skyrim, neither games exactly known for their difficulty. But the truth is, I just don't really get along with difficult games. I find it hard to get good when I play anything, and you know what? That's okay. Games were never about the difficulty for me. They were about the story, the presentation, style, gameplay, all of that. All of this to say, Punch-Out is hard. But I f***ing love this game. This is surprising to me. Why would I, of all people, love a game that's based on reaction, timing, and repetition, not in spite of its difficulty, but because of it? It's because Punch-Out builds its difficulty better than any game I've ever seen. Building difficulty is pretty common in games. Look at Papers, Please for a perfect example. A game that introduces basically one new element every level, so you have time to get the hang of them. This is pretty simple building. It's like creating a stair one step at a time, allowing you to build on your past experience. Punch-Out is like building a plank, and then another, and then realizing you can't build stairs out of planks, so you take a step back and you put in a stair, and then another. But then you realize you need carpet, so you go back and add carpet. Basically, all I'm trying to explain is that Punch-Out's progression is layered. You could play through the entire game in 30 minutes if you know all the tricks and have the muscle memory. But if you think you're going to pick up this game for the first time and play it to the end, you're mistaken. That's because Punch-Out has a surprisingly complex system. To start off, the combat seems super simple. dodge, long punch, short punch. Oh, and you can block too. As you play, you discover more features. Like when you punch, sometimes you deal a little star. And when you have a star and press start, Little Mac launches an uppercut. This leads to figuring out how to get stars from each fight. You also discover the different fighters and the different tactics you have to adopt to fight each one. The presence of pasties also helps you out, as you can get past that one boss that you've been getting up to over and over again and then not have to worry about fighting him again. At least for a bit. Honestly, I should make an entire video about Punchout's progression. There's just so much to talk about. I should talk at length about each character, all the little secrets, all the joy that this game can give you. But it won't mean nearly as much as you playing the game yourself, which I strongly suggest you do. In the end, good difficulty comes down to this. Failures feel fair. Victories feel earned, not gifted. This game immerses you like no other, and one of the ways it does that is the difficulty. You feel like the underdog who is coming back over and over again to fight his rival, finally overcoming the odds, and damn does it feel good. Music-wise, there isn't a ton to say about Punch-Out. Its main theme, which is really only played during this screen, is an old march called Look Sharp, Be Sharp. Its fighting theme is really fun to listen to, and we've also got these little intro songs for each of the characters. There's a surprising amount of thought put into each one. I thought they would just be national anthems, like Delastro's Marseillaise. But then for Von Kaiser, they play Flight of the Valkyries. Others are folk songs or something of the sort, and it's really fun to see what they come up with for each of the fighters. Moving on from sound, Punch-Out has got one of the cleverest uses of sound design in an NES game I've ever seen. The crowd is represented in this game by the percussion track, but it simulates the sound of cheering wonderfully. When you are approaching your opponent, their theme plays, and then they do their approach, also accompanied by the theme, before the fighting actually starts, all underscored by the cheering. There's a moment of aural frustration as the roaring of the crowd, the theme of the approach, and the fighting theme all play at the same time, and then, as if by a breath of fresh air, the crowd dies away, and all that you are left with is a simple theme and your own concentration. When you knock down your opponent or when they knock you down, the crowd fades back in. The result is a subtle effect that puts you directly into the athletic shoes of Little Mac, hearing everything he hears in the way that he hears it. Imagine that, immersion in an NES game. But I'm serious. I've literally never jumped with Lee at a video game the way I have when I landed that final star punch on Honda. And the sound design is just another way you're sucked into the character. Now, I may sound biased in how much I love this game, but it's really not biased, because I only started playing this game a month or so ago, so my love of it isn't based on nostalgia, like some other games. This is just a good game, and I think one of the reasons I love it so much is how much it engages you. This game has been called, quote, a puzzle game disguised as a sports game, and honestly, that hits pretty close to home. No pun intended. All I can say is this: play this game. Find all the little secrets. Get good at it. You will not be disappointed.